more news is coming out, of course, about the production of Ant-Man and this Quantumania stuff or Quantumania stuff. And look, box office is what it is. It is barely tracking to break even. It might not even break even. We will see as the upcoming weekend closes. But by all accounts, you're looking at, maybe a $600 million film if it keeps tracking the way that it has. And that will not be enough for them to make money. I always have to explain this to people because people will say, well, the budget was $200 million. And because people don't understand how box offices work, they think that wrongfully that the studios get 100% of the money it is that they make. And that is not how it works. They have to split that with, of course, the theaters. And then you have to, of course, account for marketing. This is probably going to be even more than half of what they spend on the budget for marketing here because of the fact that they had a Super Bowl commercial for this. And Lord knows they probably spent like $20 million on that alone or what have you. So when you consider that, you can sit up here and try to butter it up in whatever way that you can. Oh, it's the most successful film in the franchise. It's also the most expensive one in the franchise. And then when you look at the numbers in more detail, considering that I believe the average ticket cost since the last movie came out was like $4 more now. And when you consider that and you even that out, I mean, it's difficult to gauge the ticket sales based on that. But if you did do that, less people are seeing this movie in comparison to the past. So you just can't look at the number alone and say, well, they're making money. With that aside, production cost is the production cost. And this is the elephant in the room when it comes to like movies and where they're at right now. And they're just bloated, insane budgets. Right now, it looks like some anonymous VFX artists spoke to Vulture, and they explained that there was budgeting issues, and that's the root of the visual problems. You've heard people definitely with things like the MODOK situation that, let's say, CGI was a little questionable here. Some anonymous VFX people spoke to Vulture, and they said in terms of priority, Wakanda Forever was definitely at the top of the list. One visual effects artist said all the money went to that. All the best resources went to that. It's understandable given the context, Chadwick Boseman, and everything and how well the first film did, but it did diminish the ability to carry Ant-Man all the way through. The artist added that there were a lot of editorial changes that happened late in the production in order to not show as much action or effects as there could have been, likely because just wasn't enough time to render everything. A lot of us were sitting thinking the money is there. Why is it not coming down? He added, Marvel spending a bit more money to pay VFX people wouldn't make much of a difference for the executives all the way to the top. But if it comes down to them not being comfortable with their bank numbers and us working until burnout, we lose out every time. Honestly, I equate to human greed. Of course, probably some leftist there that is a VFX artist. Probably doesn't even understand the economics of it all. Some of this with Hollywood, they've done it to themselves, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Another VFX artist on the movie also said Wakanda Forever took precedence, and the Quantumania was put on the back burner, less of a pressing thing. Photogrammetry, whatever, tech that spoke to Vulture. However, said he didn't feel any movie was prioritized over another, though Quantumania was a subject of a typical less than ideal working conditions in the VFX industry. So basically you have VFX artists saying that, well, the money wasn't coming to us, and that's why, because if money solves everything in this case, at least according to them, and they're saying that was why it looks the way that they look. I think this VFX, though they're anonymous, I can't really say that they're trying to save their own ass. Maybe they are genuinely concerned as they see people, because their names are going to be tied to the projects anyway, seeing, let's say, questionable CGI. They're looking at it like, okay, well, let's just blame them for not giving us money. Now, look at this. Hollywood's in trouble, okay? I've said this before. These big bloated budgets, especially with Marvel, they spent, what, $200 million on this film? If that in itself is not enough to get a movie to look the way that they think that it should be because, well, the money isn't trickling down, because more than likely people are taking it off the top, and it's going, or let's say being allocated to other spaces. We look at $200 million budget, we say that's insane. That's a boatload of money to be spending on this movie. And the VFX artists are saying, well, we needed even more than that. Between the unions, all the red tape, there's a job for a job in Hollywood. This person's designated for, I don't know, lotioning up the legs of some freaking some actor or something like that. They have like silly jobs like that are being paid to do certain things. If you've been on set for movies, this is how it is. And this is kind of the culture that's been created. So with that being said, of course, there's going to be, as that becomes worse, as more people expect more money, you know, it's just going to be not enough money to go around for everybody if you're trying to maintain these budgets. So this is what Hollywood has done to themselves, and they're going to have to rein it in if they expect to start making some money on these films, especially with Marvel. We've seen this with even animated stuff from stuff like even Lightyear and other films that have been in the animated space that have lost money or barely broke even at best. You don't spend $200 million to only make $1 million. That's not how it works, right? It's not a charity. And this is what Bob Iger was talking about recently when he's like, oh man, we pushing these like movies back and stuff because they're looking at how much money they're spending. This is just the bottom line. They're spending too much on these movies, and really they're holding these guns to each other and making these demands among each other. There's probably a lot of internal struggles. Everybody, depending on where you fit in kind of the food chain, feels like they are deserving of more. They did it to themselves. So us, we just sit and watch as it all unfolds. Because in a nutshell, well, you kind of did it to yourself. Wherever you're viewing the content, I appreciate you. If you enjoyed it, you may be interested in my comic book company, Rippaverse Comics. Our first book and campaign, ISOM #1, brought in $3.7 million with tens of thousands of satisfied customers. Visit Rippaverse.com to check out our store and stay up to date with the latest campaigns from one of the hottest new comic book companies. Also, my first big step towards a parallel economy was the development of my personal website, ericdjuly.com. This entirely replaced my Patreon. Now, if you enjoy this content, please consider becoming a member over at the website. We have an ever-expanding list of perks for various membership tiers, a forum, and a phone app. Some of these perks will even benefit you if you're fans of the Rippaverse. Anyway, I appreciate you so much for being a supporter and or customer. I even got a little love for my haters.